Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this live acrylic painting tutorial. I've got my husband Mark with me tonight.
Hey there, everybody.
He's been in chat while I'm painting. So we're going to be painting a little frog. It's going to be super cute, I think. And yeah, let's get started. Seriously, I add one word to the intro and then I can't get it right. Words. Okay. Yay. Welcome. Hi guys.
Hi everybody.
Super excited to be here painting a frog with you. It's going to be super cute. I love this. If you're new, welcome, and hope you
if you're not new,
subscribe.
Welcome.
If you're not new, welcome also. We're really, really glad you're extra special because you came back for more. So
double special.
I know.
Across the sky. What does it mean?
What does it mean? All right.
Sorry.
I'm in a weird mood tonight. I've got my canvas board here prepared. It's a 9x12 size, but you can really use whatever size you'd like. The frog is kind of low on here, but I wanted to have some like willow leaves coming down over him, give it a little kind of moody feel. So he's kind of situated sort of in the bottom corner here. I've painted the background of this with green gold. It doesn't look like green, it looks like yellow. So if you don't have green gold, just paint it kind of a yellow. Very thin coat. I used a paper towel and just kind of wiped it so that it just barely stained the canvas. So it has a little tint behind it as we work. Let's go over our colors. I've got carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow light, India yellow. There's that green gold. It's the background color. Doesn't look like it, but it is. Phthalo green yellow shade, cobalt teal, phthalo blue green shade, ultramarine blue, quinacridone magenta, unbleached titanium, titanium white, and gloss glazing liquid. That is a mouthful. All right. So I've already kind of drawn out my frog. It actually didn't take too long to do. I will have a traceable for you though if you don't know how to draw. Otherwise you can just take the reference photo and trace it. But I do have traceables available on my website and Patreon if you're interested. All right, so for the background, I think I'm going to use mostly kind of Filberts to do this kind of blendy background. There's not really a lot of detail back there. It's just little kind of patches of color and things. And then when I do the leaves, I'm probably going to use my number 4 round. And then for some of the smaller details on the frog, I'm going to want a smaller round, like maybe a number 1, number 2 liner for some of the very thin lines that are coming down from the leaves. And then everything else, like the lily pad and some of the blending, I'm going to use my blenders. So use whatever brushes you've got that you like. But these are all Princeton brushes. Love them. And I'm also probably going to use the Deerfoot Stippler back here. I don't know. I pull off. I don't paint these ahead of time. So I just grab the brushes I think I might need and hope for the best. So if I grab something different, I'll let you know. All right.
So real quick, is there a method of determining the ones you think you might need? I mean, why did you pick those?
I picked the ones that are the right size. So I actually kind of do this weird thing where I like take them and I sort of do like this on, once I get it like drawn in and just kind of measure and see how big. And like that one's probably too big. So, maybe when I'm getting down in here, I would use this one or maybe even a little bit smaller one and just kind of measure and see how big the space is. I want to use the largest brush that I can and still keep control over where the paint's going. So that's kind of how I pick them. And, because I want this area to be sort of soft and blendy, I'm going to use the Filbert because it's got a rounded tip. It'll be a little bit easier to blend in here. And we've got this green gold background. I just chose it because I thought it would look nice shining through some of what's going on back here. So it's a lot of gray. There's not a whole lot of actual green in the background. There's a few patches kind of low, maybe like right in here and below. But up here is kind of some grays and blues and things. So I'm going to just make a blue with my ultramarine and maybe some burnt umber, but mostly blue. And then get some of my white. So I have kind of a blue-gray there. I think I want it more blue. Maybe I'll get a little bit of the phthalo blue too. There we go. So we've got kind of a smoky blue-gray. And then we'll kind of start there, sort of lay in some of this that I'm seeing. It's going to look worse before it looks better, so just kind of know that going in. It's okay. We're not ruining anything. We're just painting. It takes a while for it to look good. So let me get some white here, and maybe I'll grab some of the phthalo green. I haven't cleaned out my brush. I'm going to use some of that in here. And where that blue is still wet, I can kind of get it to blend out, but not trying to do anything that looks finished yet. Just kind of looking at the colors that I'm seeing, trying to get the values right. That's the main thing, is the dark and light areas. I want to kind of capture those properly. That'll just make it easier when we're putting our subsequent layers on top. So I'm going to get some yellow, a little bit more of that phthalo green, a little bit more white. I see some areas that are kind of a light green. So just kind of going over, dabbing over the edges. I'm not worried about blending anything out right now, just adding color. Because we're using this brush and sort of adding it in with this kind of slapdash motion, we're getting some nice brush strokes, and I'm pretty much going to leave it looking kind of impressionist style like this. So not going to get it too finished looking. I'm going to get some brighter green for over here. This is the phthalo and green gold. If you don't have green gold, you can mix it with phthalo green and mostly yellow. So like the yellow or India yellow is usually what works best, but you can use a little bit of both of the yellows that I've got there. And we'll use some of this down in the water also. Just wherever I see a color when I add it, I'm gonna put it where I'm seeing it in the photo. So maybe there's a little bit more saturated green up there too. Okay.
We got a quick question for you. It works again.
You use some kind of medium to keep the paint wet while you work it. I do not. I just keep a spray bottle handy and spray them, and make sure when you lay out your paints like this, it'll dry really fast here because it's thin. So make sure you keep those wet while you're working.
So
they dry out
is
real
water
fast.
considered a large?
A large? What are you talking about?
Well, you say you don't use a medium, so it's just wondering if it's large. Oh, I got
And
actual
there
sound
we go.
effect
Dad
for that.
joke number 1. We are doing good.
You want some more? I got them.
We can
be careful
we
what
can
you ask for.
Save that for
Save it.
Save it for later.
Much later.
Exactly. Unbleached titanium, a little bit of that blue that was our background blue, and just a little dab of the burnt sienna. I'm gonna do a little bit of like a neutral gray back here, up top. That burnt sienna and ultramarine blue together make a really nice gray, and so does the burnt umber. So there's already burnt umber in this mixture, but just going to use some of this kind of more neutral gray. And if you go over an area that's trying to dry, like right there, the more I mess with it, the less it's going to stick. It's just trying to dry, so I have to leave it alone and let it dry completely, and then I can come back and add more paint. But you know, if you have areas that you've put on and it's been a while, you may find that happens, and that's okay too. We can work around it. It's totally normal. You just have to kind of leave those areas alone for a little bit. Come back to them. Okay, I got a little bit more white here. I'm kind of doing some of these areas with white. You can see that this is pretty much all we're going to do back here. It's, if you look really carefully, you know, at our picture in some of these areas, especially like back here, this is really all you're seeing. There's not any detail, really. I'm going to get a little bit more of that green and add some white to it. Use that back here with some of that gray. Maybe a little bit of unbleached titanium. And then I'm seeing some darker green up in the corner. I'm just going to get some of that blue with my green and do those together. And that's going to be pretty much what I'll do down here. So I'll get that in a minute. I want to finish up here first. All right. I think the only place that I still need to kind of add something is like right in here. I'm going to maybe try to dab it on. There we go. Okay, nice. I think that's pretty close. I think there's some pink in here that I missed. So, but I'll let this dry and then we can dab that on in a minute. Let's do this area here that's kind of that light, very faint, kind of blue-green color. Let's get some of the Cobalt Teal and add it with a little bit of the Phthalo green. Yeah, that's nice. Very like minty green color. And I'm just kind of dabbing. You can see the motion of the brush. It's just almost like a pouncing motion. So that I'm getting kind of soft little dib dabs. Creates a little texture. And let me see. Make sure that I kind of go over my frog eye a little bit there, so I don't have to try to paint around it too much. Okay. I'm kind of trying to create a line that goes across here that's kind of continuing that color. Get a little bit darker color above it. And all right, I think that looks good. Let's get a little bit of the green and Cobalt Teal, Phthalo green. And when I say green, I'm just meaning green, Phthalo green. So if you're like, what green? It's kind of our base green color. Everything else will be noted differently. All right, so adding a little bit more kind of saturated green here and there, but that looks pretty good, I think. Let's go ahead and do our color down here, which will be a lot darker. So I'm going to get that Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue, and some of the Phthalo Green. This will make a dark turquoise, and then if we add a little bit of burnt sienna to it, it'll neutralize it, make it a nice, like, dark, deep blue-green color. Look really nice in our water down here. And then I want to gray it out, so I'm going to get a little bit of that unbleached titanium. And I'll create kind of a smoky green. And then if I want to gray it out even more, maybe get a little bit of the green gold in some of the unbleached titanium. And go back over some of these areas where I already kind of did some color. Dab in around it. Okay. It's pretty good. We'll definitely have to go darker down here, but I'm going to kind of start out sort of a little bit lighter and we'll work up to it. I think I'm going to shallow out that angle though. Kind of hair.
The frog hair?
Probably one of my hairs. All right. How's everybody doing tonight?
They seem to be doing good.
We have a good crowd of the usual suspects.
We got the unusual suspects here.
Nice, I like it.
Yes, from sea to shining sea and over in Australia. And
Wow. What time is it in Australia?
France. It's morning time.
Wow.
It's tomorrow.
They're your people are watching, is what you're saying. Mark is the morning person of our family.
The early risers.
Yes. I don't know if I love anything enough to get up all that early. Y'all are. I appreciate you.
You got up that
More
early
than
to
you
go
know.
to Disney.
I did. All right. Using the Cobalt Black, the Burnt Umber, my Ultramarine Blue, and some green. I made a really dark green here. I'm going to use it to mark out my shadow on my lily pad. And I'm just going to dab this on. I will come back in and refine it later, but this is just kind of to start our conversation here with the dark area. Putting it on so that I'm trying to get it to kind of blend out a little bit at the bottom there, but that'll do nicely. And then let's figure out what color we want our lily pad. So it's pretty light. It's kind of lit up in the sun. It's a little bit lighter than the water around it. So I might start with this color because it's kind of nicely desaturated. It doesn't look like it's like a bright green or anything, that lily pad. It's just sort of almost whitish, you know. So let's go ahead and start with this. We'll add some unbleached titanium, which has a little bit of yellow tone to it. I tend to find that if you add white to green, it goes kind of gray or like matte, or like very neutral pretty quickly. So you have to add yellow to it to brighten it up. So if I want to brighten that up any, we'll have to add some yellow. That's pretty close to where I want to be, but I think I want it a little bit lighter than that. So I'm going to try some white and maybe add just a dash of like my yellow oxide or Indian yellow hue, India yellow hue. That will bring it to more of a yellowish color. Maybe get some green gold with that India yellow. And I'll do a version over here that has a little bit more of a sunlight feel. We don't have to do it all exactly the same color. There's all kinds of different colors happening in here, so pretty. I still think that's too dark, surprisingly enough. Add more white. Okay, let's try that. Better. Yeah. Okay.
Butter.
A little bit of going back to their question about adding anything. You can add like this is the gloss glazing liquid. You can add that to your paint if you want it to be extended a little bit. It's got extender in it. If you just add a little touch, it won't do too much. If you really want it to be extended, you can add even more and stay workable longer. You can add open acrylic medium to it. Just a couple of drops of this into the glazing medium, and you'll have even more extender happening. So, oops, I got that on my dark area there by accident. It's all right. Let me get a little bit of my dark here. Just have a little bit of. This brush is getting to be too big. I'm just having a hard time like blending, and I'm not going to be able to get in the crevices here. It's holding too much paint, which is not always what you want. When you want to blend, sometimes less is more, you know. And I'm going to leave this area around the frog a little bit so that I can go in with darker color because it's a little bit more saturated in there.
So following up, it's 9:20 in the morning in Australia.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's not bad. I would do that.
It was just, it was the Saturday shows. When we're on at 2, it's, then 4 hours earlier, so it's 5 in the morning.
That's right. Okay.
In case anybody was wondering.
So it's late at night in Europe.
Yes. Yeah, like Paris is like 7 hours ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1:20 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And there's somebody joining us from France.
I would do it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all about it.
One of your soul painters.
I like it. Bonjour. That's about all I know. I think I knew, if I thought about it, I could come up with English. I can't remember how I said it. Something about parlez-vous anglais. That was about all I said multiple times.
Well, you were in Porto.
It's like, please. And then if they said no, then I'd pull out my phone and translate from it.
But yeah, today's phones are more live changes.
It's amazing. So. Yeah. Getting my green gold and my phthalo green here, and I'm going to dab that around my froggy here, kind of in the darker areas. I'm just going to go right over the feet because I'll put those in later. But there's kind of a shadow coming down this way. Dab that in. And do this last little bit here if I can get it in there. I'm being lazy. I don't want to have to clean up another brush, so I'm trying to do this with just this one brush, even though it's not ideal. Okay, there we go. So we got a start, and I definitely think we got about the right value and color on that. Might bring it out a little bit more there. I feel like it, I think it comes out a little bit farther out this way. Okay. Cute. All right, so this is dry. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush, and I'm going to use this Deerfoot Stippler, and that way I can kind of scrub in here, and I'll get a little bit. I'm going to get just a little bit of water, just so that the paint has a little fluidity, not dunking the brush in there at all. Getting the Unbleached Titanium, some burnt sienna, and my magenta to make a light pink, rosy color. And I'm just going to go above this line here And there's just some areas of sort of pink. Not everywhere, just this will make it really easy to scumble in. Scumbling is adding opaque color over the top in a kind of thin layer, as opposed to glazing, which is adding a transparent layer over the top. So this is opaque. I've got the white in it. It's going to go over the top of these darker colors, and that's what you have to do when you're going over. If I wanted to just tint the color, add a little, you know, little color shift, then I could glaze and add some of my glazing medium to this and put in a transparent. This is kind of going on somewhat transparent. You can see around the edges of it, it's blurred, but it's more of a solid layer since I'm using opaque color. So, Art Terms 101 here.
I was going to say, so far you've taught them slapdashing and scumbling now.
There you go. Wiping that out. You can't do it with too much paint on here. Otherwise it goes on too thickly and then you don't get the effect that you're looking for, which is that kind of blendy, smoky look. I think that's pretty good. Add some kind of vertical bits. And then now you can just look at it and say, okay, I need a little bit more of my blue. So I'm going to grab some blue. If you don't need blue, you don't have to do this. So it's going to be depending on what your painting looks like, what you think it needs. Get a second opinion if you're not sure, you know. Sometimes it can be hard to tell when you're in the middle of painting something what it needs. So you can post it. I've got a Facebook group for that kind of thing called Thankful Art. It's free on YouTube, or not on YouTube, what am I talking about? On Facebook. And yeah, you can, everybody's really nice if you ask for help there. The first rule of Thankful Art Club is be nice. So
no meanies.
No meanies. Everybody's mean gets kicked out immediately. So you don't have any worries. Tell them it's a work in progress. Do I need more blue, or do I need, what does it need? And they're usually pretty good about, I'll reply if I see it sometimes, but I'm not in there. I've got a Patreon group that I try to keep up with, so I try to keep up with them, but I've got a really great community in Thankful Art. Mark's in there more than me usually.
I try to get in there and see everybody's art. And
yeah. I always comment on the art for sure, but don't always get to give critiques. That's kind of reserved for the other Patreon tier.
We have a question real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Does the scumbling technique work just as well with a medium color over dark color?
Yeah, I mean, it really is just opaque, so it doesn't have to be a light color. It just means you're going in with opaque color, which is, you know, going to cover more. It gives a different effect than a glaze, which this kind of obscures the painting a little bit. You know, it like opaque will cover over things, whereas glaze sort of just changes the color a little bit, either darkens it or whatever. You don't generally use a lighter color for glazing, though, because it is transparent. It doesn't really work as well. It ends up looking kind of chalky if you glaze with white over darker color. So if you're using a medium color and you've got a bit of white or something else in there, if it's a opaque color, you just have to know sort of if the color is transparent or not. So like on the golden tubes, you can see these black lines here, and that tells you how opaque that color is. So these are both fairly transparent. It also sometimes has a little thing on the back on some of the bottles, on some of the tubes. It'll show a little thing like this that shows you a line saying transparent and opaque. So this one's kind of right in the middle. That's pyrrole orange that I use sometimes. And then you can see on the front sort of how opaque it is. So if you want the most opaque, it's going to be white. That will always help you cover over things. And then you can always go back in and add more color over the top of it, but it's usually what I grab when I want to scumble. All right, so I added a little bit darker blues there just to give it a little bit of depth back there. And let's go ahead and add some of that darker. Nope, see that already dried there on me. Let's go ahead and grab some phthalo green, a little bit of ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and that dark green, maybe a little bit of the green there. And burnt sienna is slightly opaque, so but I can use this as a glaze, and I'll show you the glaze here. Use some glazing medium because all three of these colors are transparent, so if I use glaze, you'll be able to see all the brush strokes through. It's a softer effect. It's not going to cover up the textures or the details. It just darkens it up or tints it to another color. So.
And I also noticed that when you first started, like with that pinkish color, you were really going to town. I mean, you were pushing hard, like almost trying to push the brush through the canvas.
Right.
And now you're doing more of a lighter technique. Is there a reason why you're like changing the pressure with the Deerfoot?
Most of it has to do with how much paint I want to come off and how much paint is on my brush. When I first load it up, I'm generally not pressing as hard because I want to see how much paint is coming off the brush, and a lot of times I don't need it to lay down a ton of paint. And then once most of that paint is out, then you'll see me start to really kind of scrub it. Especially this brush, you can really abuse it, and it works well. So I'm going to scrub with that dark color there. I don't remember what, I think I added burnt sienna or burnt umber to that color that had the burnt sienna and blue. The two blues in it. All right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So let's just like in here do some transition, little bits of color. It seems a little bit on its own, sort of not meshing. So I'm going to get some green gold and yellow, India yellow, kind of mix that in with that color that I was just using and try to get it kind of a smoky gray green here to sort of use just a transition. I'm using a very light touch because I have, usually when you mix a new color too, you'll have a lot in your brush. And so I don't want too much to come off on the canvas. Also this gray here, I'm scumbling over some of this darker, and it's going to add that kind of look of like reflection in the water. If you have like zinc white, you can use that too. It does a good job for water reflections. I didn't add it this time just because I figured we wouldn't need it, but you can use that for adding water reflections. Just going to add like a few little dabs as if the sunlight is peeking through and making little things on the water. All right. Looks pretty good. Are you happy with that? Let's do the same over here. I'm seeing kind of some lack of definition there. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Now that this lighter color is down, I can go back in and glaze over it. So I'm going to get a little bit of my magenta with some glaze. Now I'm just going to use this brush, but I could use any brush for this. I'm just going to tap in a little bit of darker magenta because I have that lighter color on there. It will show up. If I try to do this color on top of a green area, it's not going to look bright. It's just going to be kind of maybe turn purple or something. But it'll show up in the lighter areas. Use my finger to kind of blend it out a little bit. If too much goes on. Okay, looks good. So let's see. I think I'll use this for my lily pad here, and we'll finish up our lily pad. I do see a little bit of kind of a purple tone on the edge of the lily pad, so I'm going to get some of the magenta and the green, phthalo green, and add a little bit, just a little bit of white. I don't want it to go too gray, but I want it to cover. Okay, so there, it's kind of a purple-ish green. I do need it lighter though. So I want it to be maybe just a little bit darker than that lily pad color. I do not remember what color that we used. I think we used all the colors for that lily pad color, so I'm just going to do my best to replicate it. I think I used gray. Green gold, phthalo green, burnt umber, unbleached titanium. That looks pretty close. Pretty close. I'm going to add some of that gray color to this. This is that magenta mixture. Yeah, there we go. And I'm not using a ton of paint on here so that it'll kind of blend out, but if you're having a hard time, you can wipe your brush down, you know, put a little paint down and then wipe your brush off and come back over it and blend it out. I'm going to get some lighter color here and do a little bit of lighter color around the edge. I still think that color is a little too dark because it looks like it's flipping up, which I don't really want it to look like. I'm going to go back over it with a little bit of just magenta. Part of the reason is because it's darker than that background color. You can see how in the picture that area is almost disappeared. So I need to match this value to this lily pad right here so that it disappears more and blends in with that. And that way it'll look more flat. There we go. That'll be better. Get some of the light green. And what I can do is also make that background area a little bit darker too. So it's an option as well, but that looks better. That's closer to what I want. Try to figure out why that line's continuing. What's doing?
Issues.
Oh, okay.
OBS has got some low frame rates.
Uh-oh. What's it doing? Is it
Gonna freeze
cutting in and out?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a YouTube issue. We haven't had this in a while. Okay, kind of dry brushing towards the center here.
Seem to even out.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Well, I say that.
Hmm? I'm just realizing the mouth here is kind of more up toward the top of this lily pad, so I'm gonna fill this in a little bit more right here. I can't see what I'm doing. There, thank you. Getting a little bit of that pink. I think I'm gonna bring this up a little bit. I think I brought that down a little bit more than it needed to go. Use that darker phthalo green, phthalo blue, and burnt umber. Just gonna use this color to dab in some of those shadow-like things that we're seeing in the water. Just a few little darker looking leafy shapes. Okay. Let's go ahead and get our frog in there. Do we need to restart? Are we good?
That was good. It's back to normal.
Okay.
Steady.
Good deal. All right, so for Froggy, I think I'm gonna use my round here just to kind of draw him in and hope that we can get him close. Kind of lost my drawing. So I'm gonna use the phthalo green, ultramarine blue, or no, not phthalo green, burnt umber, and black. And the top of the face is kind of right in here. Somewhere in like that. Some little nose nostril things coming up. Then you've got an eye right in here somewhere. And then another eye. Pretty far up. Okay. Then about halfway down the head, this eye, you're seeing the back of the head come down. Goes up a little bit, back down straight. Be helpful to see the drawing, hun. Yeah, well, probably ought to zoom in, huh? On the drawing. It's a little bit of back leg there. This one is that leg. There is a line going down like that. And then underneath, there's a little bit of mouth. Just a little one. Almost to the edge here. And then it curves down and in. And then it kind of does a triangle with the mouth coming around here. Now, if I do a straight line from this corner back, it should kind of hit the middle of the eye and the mouth. So I need to move this eye back a little bit. So it's going to be, get some yellow here. It's going to be farther back like this. Here it'll be look better if I just kind of start it at least. Nose, mouth. It kind of comes up and back down right here, and then there's a crease right here for the arm. Like that. Then it curves under. Belly. Somewhere in there. Yeah, it almost does a straight line from here back. So it may not go down quite as much as that. And then there's a little bit of this arm peeking through here. Leg, leg, leg. Arm, fingers, toes, whatever. There. This is going to look like a kindergartner drew it, so just don't worry about it. We'll get it there. So there's the back haunch there. The leg curving forward, then you've got the back elbow and the foot coming forward. There's a crease right here. It's pretty narrow. Knee. And then it curves back to right there. right, so we don't have too much of the lily pad to fix. There's a little bit, but we did all right. I'm gonna use this dark color just to kind of paint in some of this shadow area, and then we'll blend it out with our green. So I'm gonna get some green, phthalo green, and green gold, and mix in this color that I was just using, which was the green with the black and the burnt umber, the phthalo green with the black and the burnt umber, and just kind of blend that out a little bit. And pull it down into our shadow area. Now this is a transparent color, so you can see what it's doing. It's trying to be a glaze, so I can grab my blender. Let's grab this blender. I'm going to grab my blender and use that with my glazing medium and just scrub it and blend it out. It'll be easier to do than with this brush. This is meant for precise control, not blending really. All right, there we go. So let's get a little bit of this darker color up under this guy's foot. There. Got a little strip of lighter color. Oh, or no. There we go. A little bit of that. A little bit of that green left. That was our lily pad color. There we go. Fill it in wherever I need to. Really, you probably can wait and maybe do the whole lily pad, then transfer your frog on and not paint around it like I did. It's probably not the most efficient way of doing it, but I didn't want to have to draw it, from scratch with you guys. It takes a while sometimes to draw, so I find it on Tuesdays it's better to have it ready. So. Although Oak Island's over, so I don't know what we're trying to hurry it for anymore.
More time to scroll through TikTok later.
TikTok time.
Hey, what do you get when you cross an elephant and a rhino?
Down. What?
Elephino. Brought to you by TikTok. You're welcome. Become proficient in dad jokes, and be a scary bush. Those are my 2 life goals right now.
All right, I'm gonna straighten that out. If I look at the picture, this is kind of more straight, so I'm gonna bring this down a little bit more here. Yeah, the scary bush thing I don't get at all in any way. So I'm glad you're not going to do it to me. Mark learned real early in our marriage that
I have to practice.
I don't like to be scared.
Right.
At all. No, you don't. Not on me. I have when it comes to fight or flight, mine is fight, pretty much. I don't like that kick of adrenaline. I want to punch somebody. Mark didn't want it to be him, so he stopped doing it. I'm no fun.
I know.
I'm harshing your dreams.
Our relationship changed forever right then. Yeah.
Like, I thought I was signing up for a life partner that I could terrorize. I don't understand this.
I guess I skipped over that part of the application.
You didn't really do it to me until we started living together, and then you just thought it was super fun. I was like, no, that's not fun at all.
Man.
I know. Misunderstood. All right, Alright, getting some of that white, and I'm just going to use this brush and kind of put those kind of lines that you sometimes see in the lily pad. And that helped a lot, kind of flattening that out. Now it looks a little bit more correct. And there are some water droplets, so if we want to, we can do some of that. I'm going to get some of this green and just do a few little, they're really not super defined, but be good to have them in here. Okay, and then get the white and just kind of do a little. So I just did the dark underneath and then a little bit of the light on top. Looks pretty good. Not hating it. I'll need to give this a second coat. And let's go ahead and put a little bit of this white, get a little glaze so it's a little bit transparent. Put a little bit of it just kind of where the water edge is, just in a couple of places. Not seeing a ton of this, but I've done it on other lily pad paintings and I really like the effect. It just kind of helps it look like water. We can put a little bit of that white right along the edge of the lily pad too, on the lily pad itself. Giving that a second coat. Now, that doesn't look like it matches the rest, so I'm going to have to fix that. Dull that down, I made it too bright. All right. Work on our frog. So, have we gone 2 hours already?
No.
Okay, just 1 hour. Okay. I wasn't reading that clock right. I was like, what the heck? Okay, good. We're all right. What's going on?
I'm gonna turn the fan on here. Okay.
Was it off?
Nope.
Clean off. Is it causing problems?
I don't know. I'm trying to resolve because it started to
Do it again?
do it again. So just doing whatever I can do in my control.
Okay. So is it my computer doing it or YouTube?
I have no idea.
Hmm. Right. Well, I'm gonna keep painting and try to pretend like nothing's happening over there.
Stress.
Okay.
All fine.
Okay. All right. So I think he's a little chubby. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like I probably could bring his back down a little bit more here. I think I brought it up a little too high. But I placed him a little bit low on the lily pad, like his mouth is right here in the picture. So I placed him a little bit low, which is fine. It's not a big deal. It's just throwing off my drawing a little bit, I think, maybe. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to use pretty saturated green on him. Might add just a little bit, maybe a little bit of yellow oxide to my phthalo green and green gold. I grabbed a little bit of burnt sienna too, but yeah, that's good. Just use that. Fill in our froggy like that.
So they're trying to figure out the name for the frog.
Uh-oh, okay.
So we got Finnegan and Fred and we had Monet earlier, but I was thinking maybe Claude Frog. Because, you know, the lily pads in his garden.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I see what you're saying. I used a little bit of burnt sienna and burnt umber there for this color.
We got Fergus.
Fergus, nice.
So what's the difference between a toad and a frog?
Toad is dry, frog is on water.
Okay.
And
where's our tree frog when we need him?
I think frogs are more slimy, toads are dry.
Okay.
Like desert, you know. We had these. Well, no, they were lizards. I'm thinking of. We didn't have. Thinking of lizards that. But we called them horny toads, but they looked like they were. They looked like a cross between a frog and a lizard. I don't know. They had little spikes on their head, like little dinosaurs.
Yeah, I think horny toads are a thing.
Yeah. Are they?
I'm gonna do a Google.
Go Google it. Trying to remember what I'm talking about. All right, getting some yellow here, and I'm adding it to these two colors. So I made a third color out of the brown and the green that I was using, and then adding that yellow here.
It's a lizard.
It's a lizard, yeah, but it's called a horny toad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about right there. We caught those all the time growing up in the desert. They were really cool. They're probably endangered and probably breaking about 1,000 laws as kids, but we never kept them. We just let them release them, play with them a little bit. They loved it. No horny toads were harmed in the.
Did you dress them up or
Getting
anything?
some white here and some yellow. What?
Did you dress them up in anything?
No,
Paint
didn't
their
dress them
nails?
up. Mm-mm. Get some of that darker green. Trying to add some at the bottom there. Okey-doke. And then let's go ahead and go with that darker green at the bottom. I'm just kind of putting it over the dark outline. That didn't. Just trying to put a lip in there. I'll have to put the line for the mouth back in again. And get that darker green. The arm. sleeve shirt. Looks like Frog from Frog and Toad. You know. Give him a little bow tie. Whatever, I'm not sure. Frog. I loved that book series. There's somebody that does these little animated frogs. They're like a fabric or like a fiber artist, and they make these little dolls that are little frogs. I mean, the cutest little stop motion. They're on Facebook. I don't know the name. I wish I did, or I'd share it, but they remind me of that. They're all dressed up, really cute, and have like real props, like flowers and things, and they're doing stuff. Little stories. All right, that was a terrible story because I don't know.
That's a Mark story.
It's a Mark story. Somewhere at one time I saw a thing
about frogs.
And can't tell you where or when or how to find it. So good luck with that.
But it's good.
Check. If you know it, leave a comment. I'm sure I could find it if I spent enough time searching. Every now and then it shows up in my feed on Facebook with a new one.
Between all the ads and stuff that you don't want to see.
Ugh, gosh, yes. It's getting ridiculous. All right, so making a little bit brighter green. There's kind of a light reflection on this area of the leg. Getting some burnt umber and some of that phthalo green. I think this leg needs to come up because you can see there's kind of like if you do a angle from the back, there's not that much space there, so I need to bring that up a little bit. Okay. This is surprisingly difficult. Like for a little frog, I think it's kind of because it's such a small spot, and there's so much going on in here, in a small area, that always makes it a little trickier. So it might be easier to do this on a bigger canvas, just to give yourself a little bit of room to maneuver. Here, this just doesn't want to give me space to blend anything out. But we're getting there. Okay. And then this is where I need to switch to a smaller brush. So now I've got it kind of mainly filled in. Tried to get the values and everything sort of close to the right place as I could. And let's go ahead and work on the eyes. That'll make us feel like we're getting somewhere. So I'm going to get some of this lighter green that I was just using and kind of define the top of the eye right there. And that nose, the nostril that's coming up right there. Get that green gold A little bit of the burnt sienna. Use that back here, and I'm just going to kind of dab to create that texture of the skin. It might not be dark enough, but we'll get it close as we can. Okay, so the front of the eye, get some black, and this eye's just got a little bit, just a tiny sliver showing with the black right there. And then there's a nostril right here. Whoops. And right here. Get some burnt sienna, a little bit of burnt umber. Just do the little freckles there in the eye here. Get some of that bright yellow, maybe a little bit of the India mixed in, and just a little bit of white so it's nice and opaque. Okay, roll that brush to a point, and if you need to, you can switch to a smaller brush here. I'm going to outline the pupil this little tiny white yellow line. Okay, and then there's some of these freckles in here, this color. Right, get some white, which is not quite white, so I'm going to get a little tiny bit of gray. White in the eyes are never fully white. And do a little bit of the white part right next to that black right there, and a little bit on this side too. And then there's just the tiniest bit over there. Get some glaze and do the highlight across the top of the eye. I think I need to raise this up a little bit. I think I brought that down too much. Closed off his eye a little too much. I'm going to raise up this part. Makes him look more awake. Whoop. That is a little bit of water got away from me there. Okay, so there we go. Now he looks a little bit more frog-like. I need to let that dry, and then I'm gonna glaze it because it needs a little bit more work. But I've got some wet paint there. I need to let it dry. I'm gonna get my green gold, phthalo green, a little bit of black. Do up underneath the eye, and kind of back here. And then there's a shadow kind of from the nose across that nostril and to the eye, and it should kind of hit around the center of the pupil there if we did it right. Down that off. And there's a little crease kind of coming down under the lip. Little shadow. Right there. And then below it, there's another shadow. That part. And then we'll get that black and just really carefully do a very thin line. And kind of cracks right in here. All right, here we go. I kind of curved it up just a little bit right here. So it looks like he's grinning. They do look happy, don't they? Kind of a friendly looking little creature. Pretty adorable. Okay. I need to bring that green up behind the head a little bit. Right there. And then this line right here continues after, like it just, you know, makes a line through the eye and then curves down. Follows this body all the way to the crease of the leg right here. I'm just going to kind of pull that shadow down a little bit. Right. Let's do this dark crease in the leg. Get some of that burnt umber, little tiny bit of black, and there's a sharp crease that goes right down there and in front of the leg, and then defines the crease down here too.
So,
this part's pretty dark.
why are frogs so happy?
Why?
Because they eat whatever bugs them.
I should have known that was gonna. Do you want fake laughs or just no laughs? Like what? Huh. Oh, geez.
Whatever.
I love you. I'm sure there's people that in the listening that appreciate that.
I got a niche audience out there somewhere.
There's a lot of people that like dad jokes. They're really hot right now. All right, so I'm kind of dabbing these lighter colors on, trying to get that freckled look. I'm not sure if it's being effective or not, but we'll get it there eventually, no matter what. We'll keep messing with it until it's the way we want it. So it's not done until we say so. So it can stay ugly for as long as we want. It doesn't matter, you know. It's not done yet. All right, let's do some of these toes here. That'll help get this long one that's right here. And this one here. Get that dark green go up underneath there, so it has darkness. And I can't tell from the, I mean, I think there's 3 toes obviously, but I can't see the third one, so we can kind of just sort of do like that and call it good. I'm going to get a little bit of white here with this light green and do some of the shiny bits on this leg. I think that'll help. There's just a lot of shine. He's probably just come out of the water. And just doing this little dabs so that they look like little lumps. All right, that's helping.
Hanging in there.
Hanging
you
in
seem
there.
like you're focused.
I am focused, thinking.
Like this frog.
And the green gold and it to some of this white mixture here. What'd you say?
See, it's kind of, you're like, this frog is giving me more of a challenge than I expected.
It is, yeah. It's a little bit more. There's a lot going on. I mean, I could do it more simplified for sure, but I'm trying to kind of give him his glory here. You know, give him all the detail he deserves. So I'm just going to take a bit to get it there. Using that lighter green. And then like right there, there's like a dark area where it kind of blends out into that crease. So I need to get a little bit darker and just go along that crease there with that and push that back. See, now it looks like it's bending there. That wasn't quite the right tone, but it was close. I might get a little bit of the burnt sienna. Use that in this area because it's more neutral. There we go. Okay. Can glaze in there where those toes go down too. That helps them look like they're sort of disappearing, tucked under that foot. And then there's some spots in this area, so I'm going to get some burnt umber and just dab in these spots. If the brown looks too obvious, you can use some green added into it, but I'm not hating this, so I'm going to keep going. And then there's that, oh, I forgot the ear. There's that ear right there. It's kind of dark green around it. And then kind of a little dot, kind of almost in the center. Right. So let's go back to the eye. I want to use the burnt sienna, I think. Maybe a little bit of burnt umber. And glaze the eye. A little glazy medium. And I'm going to darken it up right there and at the top. Right along the sides and the bottom. Makes a huge difference. Get a little bit of burnt umber. Really, really darken it right there. All right. Much better. Get a little bit of that black and come back in and kind of clean up my outline just a little bit, and then I'm going to make this a little wider too. I think I made it a little too narrow. It goes almost to the edge there. Just widen that out a little bit. Come back in with that bright yellow. Okay. The white. It's not quite perfectly white. And the top part has kind of a highlight too, so I'm going to use this white and just kind of do it like a glaze of white along that top edge. Okay. Round this off a little bit. There we go. Okay, we're almost there. Don't want to do too much more. And then I'm going to go back in with my white dots because I kind of lost them. And whoop, boy, that water droplet tried to get me. Right here. Mm-hmm. Okay, there we go. I need to stop messing with it. Looks good though. I'm getting some white or some yellow and my green gold here. Maybe a little bit of white. And I'm gonna highlight this little heart there. Just around the outside a little bit. Get some burnt umber, get that burnt sienna color, burnt umber. Come on. And a little bit of glaze. And let me get a little bit of green too. I don't want it to be too brown. Do the little freckles on the lip. Kind of underneath the lip and then go into this shadow area there. And there's some freckles on the arm, on the elbow, along the back. There's some back there. Darken up the shadow on the tip of the nose, under the nostril, under the lip. Okay, let's do this arm here is looking funky. So getting the two greens there and my burnt sienna. And this area is pretty dark. Just leave that kind of top part right there light. And like right here I need it a little bit darker, so I'm going to get a little bit of black and just have a little bit of darker color, kind of defining that edge there and defining this end, giving it a little crease at the elbow right there, curved in. There's a little bit of this darker color back here too, and on this back leg. Kind of dabbing in that dark color. paints here. Okay. Mr. Frog. Let's do your little feetsies on this side, and I think we'll be done with you. I think he needs a few more little lumps on there, but I think for the most part we're done with the body. We might do some little dark shadows around where the little lumps are going to go. We can shadow underneath some of the lumps on the body too. Okay, that looks better. I'm going to kind of dab in some texture right here too. It's looking a little too smooth right there. Get the yellow and so this kind of goes flat right about here. I need to edit this hand because it kind of ends right here. Yeah, that's better. It's some of the white with my green gold here, and do the little fingers coming down there. His little hand. There's a little crease right here. Sorry, got a frog in. No, man, that was bad. I got a little.
Man, you worked hard to set that one up.
I did not. I did not mean to do that.
Fake coughing. Fake clearing your throat. Oh, I got a frog in my throat.
If it was you, I would say yes. You 100% set that up. I'm surprised you didn't ask me if I had a frog in my throat. You missed an opportunity
I
right
did.
there.
I know. Shame on me. So disappointed in myself.
All right, and this one's coming straight at us, so it looks shorter than it really is. And they're all have this really nice shadow underneath them that is helping to define them. So this one's got it kind of on both sides. And get a little bit of black. Just gonna define the tip there. There's another toe there, but from the back leg, but I don't have to put that. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just pretend it's hiding behind the body. All right, I think we're almost done with him. Let me get a little bit more of what? Well, 40 minutes to paint a frog. Not too bad, I guess. It's not too bad. It felt like longer than it was. We put a lot of detail in him. And we'll just kind of dab on a little highlights in a few places for some little warty bits. Getting a little bit of white here. Kind of hitting the areas where I've already done some highlighting and just making it a little bit more obvious. Okay, not bad. He looks good. I'm gonna get a little bit of white and just kind of put little dabs of highlight in my little water droplets. Just give them a little bit more detail. And we could call it quits there. That's the original photo look like. But I want to add the water lily, or not the water lily, the weeping willow leaves. Make him look like he's kind of sitting up under a tree here. So I'm going to get my liner. This is the 2-aught script line, or no, the 2 script liner, number 2 script liner. And it looks like these branches are kind of gray, a little bit of green. I'm gonna get my black or my brown and some India yellow. A little bit of the Cobalt teal. Kind of make a gray. Let me see if that's dark enough. Oh yeah, that'll be good. Alright, so I'm going to use this and just drag it down. And not worry about keeping them straight. They're all kind of wiggly. I'm holding it back a little bit off of the handle so I can get nice organic lines without too much fuss. So there's one that's coming down kind of right in front of his face, and then there's one that's kind of splitting off here. Well, it kind of split off from here. There we go. Right. All right. And then I'm going to use this foreground. And pretty much the same colors that we've been using, so a lot of kind of the green gold and a lot of yellow on the tips though. I'm seeing some yellow. I'm gonna get the India yellow and the cadmium yellow light here. You always want to add a little bit of water when you're using the round brushes. I might use my angle brush actually. We'll see how this goes. Added just a little bit of that green gold. And I'm going to... I think this will do all right. I might add some white though, because I can't see it. So just using that brush to create these little fine leaves. And I'm going to use different colors here, but I'm going to do some with this yellow, where I'm seeing the yellow ones. And then we'll come back in with green and do green as well. So I'm just setting the brush down, letting it flare out a little bit, and then just kind of pulling the point. And your brush should do this for you. If it's not, then you may have an older brush that's not creating, if it's not getting a point here, it's not going to do it magically when you get it to the canvas. So you have to have a good brush that makes a thin line. This is, I've got some brushstroke videos, so really the one that's the best one is like 5 essential brushes, and it shows how to do these kind of brush strokes for projects like this. Can be really helpful, and it's also good practice just to have the brush control, you know, get it out. And you know, if you're not feeling inspired and you just kind of want to work on something but don't know what, getting out your brushes and just doing these kind of little brush strokes can really be beneficial and help you, kind of like scales on a piano, you know. It's just building that muscle memory in your hand so that when you do go to paint something that you want to paint, it comes easier and you're not struggling, you know, when you have 20,000 leaves to do all at once, you know, like this. So getting some green now, and I'm going to go ahead and go pretty bright here. We'll see. Some of these are pretty bright. They've got a lot of sunlight behind them, so we'll see how they look. Now, if you can't see them against that background, that tells me I need to add a little bit of white. So I'm going to have an interesting transition here where I go from these brighter ones to the darker colors. I may have to skip a value or two in order to, you know, to have them show up. And some of them may, you know, these lighter ones will show up against the light colored background or the darker colored background. So if it's not showing up, you can maybe try a different color is what I'm saying. I'm going to, this is super fun. Very therapeutic. Just as long as you load your brush right, the brush does the work for you. You're not really having to do a whole lot. It's kind of just a flicking motion. I mean, there is, again, a level of proficiency that you'll get if you practice this, but it's not necessarily that hard. And the brush does a lot of this work for you. I'm just trying to create some organic shapes, not get too fussy with it. Definitely not overlapping, or I mean, sorry, not overlapping, not being too perfect about it. You know, the more random, the better. And now I need to go with some darker ones. So I'm going to get my phthalo green, my green gold. Come on. And then get that burnt sienna. And that's the colors that we were using on our frog. I think they should look good here in our leaves. And if we want, we can even add a little bit of blue to it. Might use a little bit of phthalo blue just to make it a little bit different color from the frog. We'll see how this does. This is going to look probably pretty dark. There are a few of these, so I'll do a few of them and then we'll switch over and do some mid-tone. So there's some that are kind of in between this and the light colored ones that we've done already. Pretty. There's a branch there that I forgot to do. Take your time. If you're starting to get frustrated or feel like, you know, it's taking too long, this is when people tend to start like going off the rails a little bit, and you'll end up like doing a series of them that don't look good because it's taking forever, and so you just kind of start going faster and faster and try to just get it done. But just take a break if you need to, come back to it, but take your time so that, because these really, you know, you can't really erase these. Once we get them on here, we're not going to really be able to do a whole lot about it, of changing them, because they're there, you know. So take your time, do a good job on it as best you can. Don't rush it. You can do this in 2 or 3 days, you know. You don't have to get it done in one setting like I'm doing here. In fact, you know, I would expect on something like this might take a couple of days. You know, depending on your level of skill, how often you've painted and all of that. I have people, you know, say, oh, you know, it takes me so much longer than you, but that is pretty normal. I mean, you know, I've been painting for 30 years, so I would expect that I would be fast at it, you know, ish. I have my moments, but, you know. And then, too, you don't know what I'm going to do ahead of time, especially when you're watching this replay. If we were painting it together, I would pause and let you catch up. And so pausing the video, doing the steps, then watching the next thing that I do, and then pausing it and doing it, that is gonna, you know, increase the time at least by double, you know, whatever time it takes me on the video. So that's really normal. And I always tell people to watch the video once all the way through, take notes, because sometimes I'll change things, sometimes I'll take things out, you know, that I do in the beginning of a video. Not on this one necessarily, but, you know, other ones where, you know, maybe something didn't work, because I am painting this live, so I don't know exactly how it's going to go so I don't always get it right the first time. So it's turning out all right, I think. I just added this color. This was that lighter color to the darker color. I don't think I mentioned that because I was talking, but that's what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of adding some of that mid-tone color in here and making sure I've got that as well. But anyhow, yeah, so.
And you have, I mean, this is a different circumstance, you know, because we're doing it for a show, doing it for a tutorial. But you also have the longer videos that you do on Patreon.
Right.
Where it's 4, 8,
10 hours.
12 hours.
Right.
You know, to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And painting isn't a race. It's not about how quick you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I think especially when you're a beginner too, it's good to have that attitude of just enjoying the experience, getting out of it what you can learn from it. It may not always be exactly what you'd hoped it would look like. It's not going to look like mine, probably, and that's okay. We have different handwriting styles. I'm not trying to teach you how to be a mini me and paint exactly like me. I'm just trying to show you some techniques that can help you on your art journey. It's your work at your pace, work, at the level that you're at. Your journey is different than mine. And different than anybody else's. That's why art's so important and special, is because we all have something unique to bring to the world. And if you're trying to paint exactly like mine, it's not going to be you. It's going to be, it's not going to be your unique voice. So just do your best, practice at it. The more you do, the better it'll get, the easier to be. It's like anything else. The more you bring to it, the more you'll get out of it. The more you practice, the more. And the not trying to get it to be perfect right off the bat. Don't expect that of yourself. Nobody would start playing the piano or something and expect that they're going to ace it on the first try, But somehow in art, we think we don't give ourselves that permission to be not so great at it, right? When we're first starting, we're like, oh, well, I obviously can't do art because it doesn't come easy. Well, it didn't come easy for me either. I had to practice and practice and practice. And it took me years till I felt, pretty comfortable with what I was doing. So
what we need is some of you to practice now, get proficient at it. So in like 20 years, when Angela retires, somebody can just take over the channel and keep going.
Hey, there you go.
So put in the time now.
Right.
Get her done.
I saw that Bob Ross's channel starting back up. Somebody's teaching on his channel again. I don't know who it is. If it's his son or who. I know his son teaches classes, but I don't think his son owns the name, so I'm sure it's somebody else. All right. I don't think you can do too many of these, so maybe at some point, but I think I'm pretty happy with that. I might do a little bit more shadow under his leg here. I noticed that when I did his leg, I kind of took off the shadow that was there. So I'm going to get some of this dark green that we were just using and some glaze, and we'll do a little bit of that under there. Smooth out any of that shadow that was right there, and then just kind of scrub it down. This blender brush does such a good job with this. It's so easy to get this nice blend. I don't have a ton of paint on my brush. That's the key. I can use this in some of the water, maybe add a little bit brighter pop of color to the water here and there.
So, while you're just kind of cleaning up there, there was a question earlier, and I just want to save it to the end.
Okay.
And so let me know, would this be a good time?
Yeah.
Okay. So the person said that they're having an issue with blending and getting their paints to blend correctly.
Okay.
They said that they paint their background fully white, and then they draw something on there.
Okay.
And then they go when they mix the paint, but the paint isn't mixing properly, and it separates and kind of seems to be a little mushy. So do you have any ideas?
The first question is, why are they painting the background white? Are they painting it with gesso? Like trying to
I don't know. The person
smooth
left.
it out?
Had to leave earlier.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Right.
So say that again. So to tell the whole
So
thing.
so they said that they paint the background white, and then they draw like a horse or chicken or something on there, or whatever.
Right.
Then they go to paint, but the paint doesn't mix properly and separates and looks mushy. So I don't know
Okay.
the details if they let the background dry all the way or what they're using to draw with.
Okay. Well, if they're putting their paints out while they're drawing and doing all that stuff, that they're probably, it sounds like they're drying out. So I would say do your background, do your drawing, do everything that you need to do, and then put out your paint. Because that sounds like the paint is drying if it's getting mushy on them. That's what paint will do when it starts to, get solidifying. I'm seeing a little water there on my lily pad here. So that's what I would expect is probably happening, is it's drying out. If it's not drying out and it's coming out of the tube like that, and it's not, like, I don't know what kind they're using, but that means like they've probably got some bad paint. That sounds like old paint. If it's, or a strange brand of paint, I don't know. Like, I've never had that happen with the paints that I'm using, but certain paints, and I do have a video that's called painting with different kinds of acrylics, or blending with different kinds of acrylics, and I compare craft acrylics to student quality acrylics to the heavy body acrylic professional ones that I use, and just show you the difference in the different techniques and how you blend with them. So you can try that too and check that video out and see if that might help, with some of it. But yeah, if they're getting thick like that, that definitely sounds like they're drying before you're, drying out before you're able to use it. I'm going back in with black here and just darkening up right up underneath. And I kind of, because I changed this angle of this one, I lost that shadow that was right there. So I'm putting that back in. And I think we're done. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to sign it.
You want to show me your Tuscan
Yeah.
painting you did this past Sunday? This was the bonus video for May.
The $5 level video we did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Came out all
a
right.
little window scene. Like how it turned out. I'm not loving this. I think I would have just done this around it. I don't like this angle here, but just ignore that part. I was tired. And then I'll show the $10 or the $15 level on Patreon. We are working on this massive beast.
Jeez.
It's 18 by 24. And we're doing the butterfly collection. We're going to have shadows underneath it so they look like a, pinned collection of butterflies. And we got plenty more to do on this. So lots of detail on these. Lots of intricate detail. So this has been really fun. This is kind of a lifelong wish project for me. I've been painting butterflies for 15 years or so now, I guess, and I've never done one quite like that. So I'm really excited to be doing it with my patrons.
And
so we do that on Thursdays, or now actually right now we're doing it on Fridays, but normally it's on Thursdays.
Right. Changed up a little bit because of your personal schedule this month.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody wants to know, how easy is it to clean the paint from your scraper?
Oh, really easy. From my scraper,
Yeah,
or
from your
with the
scraper,
scraper?
from the
From the
blade.
scraper?
Yeah.
I use a palette knife, and I get in and use it like this. Keep my hand away from it, but it usually scrapes off pretty easily, and then you can get that blade out of there. But I never get it quite clean. I mean,
Right.
That's not the goal.
And
But you just want it to be able to be
we soak it in
alcohol.
rubbing alcohol,
Yeah.
right,
Alcohol can help.
to help dissolve all the stuck-on paint on the actual scraper before we put a new blade in.
Yes. I am looking for, I know I have one of these that has the metal nib, but I didn't like that color. It was too obvious. That one's too unobvious. All right, well, I'll sign it later, but I'm going to say thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you, as always, hanging out with us for the live streams. Hope you enjoyed this one. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. And share it with a friend if you know somebody who likes art. Helps our channel a ton if you share our videos. So I really hope you would do that. Join our Facebook group if you want. If there's links down in the description to all of the places where I buy my art supplies. We get a little bonus when people buy using our links, so we appreciate it when you do that. It doesn't cost you anything more. Just, it's a little way to say thank you to the channel and support us. And if you're gonna buy art supplies or something on Amazon anyways. Okay, these pens are just not working today. I think I'm just gonna use a brush. I'm gonna use a brush.
Yeah, and if you're going to be buying stuff
Cooperating.
on
What?
if you're going to be buying stuff on Amazon, come over to YouTube, click on the link, go shopping.
Yeah,
You don't have to buy the art supplies. You can buy whatever.
that's true. That's true.
Shh, don't tell anybody my secrets. Get yourself some dog food. Some cotton swabs. The Milli Vanilli CD you always wanted. Yeah, whatever.
Oh my goodness. Why is it so hard to sign my name today?
Some Aquanet hairspray. Bring back the 80s.
What?
Some Aquanet hairspray. Bring back the 80s.
What are you talking about?
About big hair. I'm just thinking of things that you want to go shopping for on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Jeez.
I'm missing part of that conversation.
You're all
I think.
focused on some painting or something.
I'm trying to
some
get
weird.
this signed.
I see that.
My paint is not cooperating.
The hardest
with me.
part of this painting is signing it.
I mean, my goodness. Who knew? Who knew?
It wasn't the frog.
I'm having the hardest time right now.
It was in the background.
Okay, using a small short round. Get your paint fluid enough. The problem is my paint's all sticky, but I don't know why the pens weren't working. They just weren't cooperating with me today.
So what do you call a deer that can't see?
I don't know.
No idea.
That was kind of like inappropriate.
It was? Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry.
You need to take some sensitivity training, I think.
I'm sorry to all the deers I have offended.
We'll have a talk after this.
Uh-oh, great. I'm going to have to go to HR.
All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you. I finally signed it. Yay. Big cheers.
See, I knew another dad joke would help speed things up.
Yay. Okay. That's it. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Bye.